What is happening, guys? I'm N64Josh, and this is another game vlog. Today's game from the NES. Now, remember, we do these live on twitch.tv/N64Josh. Pretty much every day before I start my stream, we're doing one of these things. I'm getting into my collection, and I'm grabbing games. And today is an NES game, and this game is near and dear to me because this is a franchise that I loved as a kid. Now, let's I'm gonna let you guys know a few things. I'm gonna kind of fill you in on a few things about my childhood that you may not know. Some of you may know this. I was allowed to play games for 45 minutes a day. Right? My mom was very worried that I was going to rot my brain playing video games and turn out the way I did. Sorry, Mom. Sorry. But so that meant a few things. One, that meant those early mornings, like the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, I wasn't even allowed to play. So there was some risk here if I did this on Sundays. Saturday, I was up at 5 a.m., maybe earlier. And I would tiptoe all the way past their room into the living room. And I would literally pray that my dad had not been watching something with the volume too loud before he went to bed, right? And we had one of these old TVs, okay? Like, this thing was more wood than metal. It was like mostly wood and glass, all right? So it had this nice wood surround. I remember when this thing came home, we went from a black and white to like a color, I don't know, it was probably 27-inch, right? It was a big deal. A big deal. The remote control, no lie, bigger than an NES cart. Like, it was big. Side note, I would often steal the batteries out of it to put into my toys, which drove my parents crazy. So I would tiptoe up the stairs, right? I say up the stairs. The house I grew up in, the garage was remodeled into a rec room and 2 bedrooms, my room and my sister's room. So to go upstairs was 5 stairs. This wasn't a 2-story house. It did have a basement, but nobody went down there because it was a nightmare. And so I would go up the stairs, walk through the kitchen, past the hallway where my parents' room was, and hit the power button and immediately press the volume button as fast as I could and hope I could get it down low enough that it wouldn't wake him. Right? So once the TV was on, and I blew in my cart, right? So we could get it to work. Literally just blew dust in my eye when I did that. Get the game fired up, get it seated in the slot just right. Fire up the game, and then I would play. Then timer wouldn't start until my mom got up. Right now, the problem was, I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so there were always babies in the house. Like, I don't remember when there wasn't a baby in the house or my mom being pregnant. Like, I don't remember. So it was like there was the moment I heard a kid crying, I was like, why do I have siblings? Right? I'm like, my time with Mario's not done, or my time with the Ninja Turtles. In chat right now, Cryptic's saying you're not supposed to blow in the carts. Yeah, it actually says that on the back of the 64 carts. It says do not blow the cartridge. So, pro tips right there. Pro tips: don't blow in the cartridge. But yeah, everybody did, right? We all did it. It was just, that was the thing. I don't even know. How did that spread back then? Why did everybody think that was a thing to get your games to work? Kind of strange, but that was it. So let's get to this game right here. Ninja Turtles. Okay? Ninja Turtles. I was a huge Ninja Turtles fan. I wasn't allowed to watch the cartoon. I wasn't allowed to have the action figures. And then I wasn't allowed to have the game, right? But all that changed. All that changed one summer. So I'm going to take you guys back before I had this game, which again, this is another game. I don't even remember how I acquired it. I don't know how it got into my collection, but I ended up with it. I don't remember purchasing it, but it was in my collection. There's a handful of games like that. So let me take you back. Summertime, late 80s, and my grandmother would put me to work so that I could earn money to pay for summer camp. She would pay for my summer camp. Two magical things happened the year that I got my first action figure. I also met my wife. Okay. We were in 5th grade. I met my wife. So more on that later though. Let's talk about Ninja Turtles. This is what would happen. My grandmother would put us to work during the summer at her house, sweeping. I remember spraying off, like hosing down the siding, picking up garbage. I spent most of the time like filling up a squirt gun and squirting cars as they went by. Because that's just what I did, you know. And I remember one time these girls in a convertible went by and I got them wet. So then they came back again and I think they may have thrown water balloons at me and it kind of became a thing. I don't know. It was super cool. It was fun until I got yelled at. I remember she caught me squirting cars with the squirt gun and then wasn't happy with me. So we would work. All right. We would go to camp. She would put us to, you know, she'd pay for our camp, but then after, I don't remember if this was after camp or before, but she would say, okay, good job, everybody. Your camp's paid for. And she would take us to a toy store called the Children's Company. And it wasn't quite as magical as Toys R Us, but it was still pretty epic. You know, back in the day, toy stores were kind of a magical place. And so here's this wall of Ninja Turtle action figures, and Leonardo was my favorite. You know, the blue headband, the katanas. He was my favorite. And so I'm like, this is my opportunity. This is my opportunity. All right. My mom's not around. My grandma doesn't know. Oh, by the way, I lived in the country. So in order for me to like watch Ninja Turtles, I used to have to turn the antenna by hand, this giant antenna outside, right? And turn the antenna so that we could get the Canadian channels, because that for some reason that's the only place I could find Ninja Turtles, right? That's the only place that I could get Ninja Turtles to be on the television. Well, my grandmother's house, she always had the Canadian channels just came in much better. Where she was geographically, she was just able to get the Canadian channels much better. So what that meant is that Ninja Turtles was on more often. So she didn't know. I made sure that there was no connection here between her and my mom, although she was the one that filled my mom with all of the notions that, like, you know, He-Man was evil and don't let your kids play with magic because they'll turn into wizards and things like this, you know. So I made sure this was never this wasn't gonna, you know, this wasn't, they didn't know, right? So I'd watch Turtles there, and we're at this toy store and I'm like, this is my chance. I grab Leonardo off the shelf. She purchases it for me. Like, I'm like, this is happening, right? I feel like I'm completely gaming the system. The moment we get in the car, I'm like, that can't go in the trunk. I need to open that right now. She's like, well, can you just, I'm like, I can't wait till I get home. Like, if I wait till I get home, this is getting returned. So opened it up. And that was the like the moment of like, this has finally worked. I finally did it. I pulled it off. And now I have this action figure. My mom's realizing that it's not turning me into a wizard or anything like that. And so she eased up on Ninja Turtles. And now I have a collection. I still have it. It's in the garage. I probably have 50 action figures. Most of them still have their weapons, things like that. Like, that they were like the, I went from like Star Wars toys to Transformers to Ninja Turtles, and I loved Ninja Turtles. And so a lot of times we go like, if they would take us all grocery shopping, I would usually end up getting an action figure, right? So let's get to the game. All right. I finally get this game. I don't even remember. I want to say we bought it from like the rental place when it was like cheap, like it had run its course. Anyway, this game ends up in my collection. There's no way I'm beating this game in 45 minutes. Mind you, there's no way. Right? We talked about it a little bit in chat, like the dam level where you've got to defuse all the bombs. Like, that's one of those things you talk about with people now. We were even talking about in chat, like a lot of people are like, that was the worst. But I remembering just not knowing any different. And so it was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. Figured it out, had a decent pattern. And I'm pretty sure even the last time, I don't even, we'd have to go back and look. It's probably been deleted, but I think the last time I streamed this, I even made it past that dam level. And so, another game that was very, very similar, like Top Gun, trying to land on the aircraft carrier, and streamed that game and was able to, I didn't think I'd be able to do it. I was able to land it. So, some of these games that were super difficult, and we were also talking about like Mega Man, things like that, like the games you had as a kid, you didn't have many of them. So it was like, if it's too hard, oh well, you got to figure it out and you got to be able to get through it. So I remember one day, it's summertime, I'm playing Ninja Turtles, and like I'm firing on all cylinders. Okay, like this was the run of a lifetime. Getting through every boss, I get through the dam level, and I make it to the Technodrome. And I'm like, this has got to be close, right? This has got to be close. I had only seen pictures of the Technodrome in Nintendo Power, right? That's it. That's the only place I had seen this. So I'm like, we're close. We are close. Well, I died. I died at the Technodrome. The moment and this is like me begging my mom, like, Mom, come on, this is the run of a lifetime. I can't save. I probably squeezed like an hour and 15 minutes out of my play session before I had to go outside. Mind you, I loved playing outside. I would go outside all the time. But so made it to the Technodrome, died, never made it back there again. And I eventually was like, yeah, I don't care. Now I've since gone and watched like some speedrunners and things, and there's so many weird glitches in this game, but like, it's one of those games, like when I hear the music and I see the really goofy characters, like some of the enemies in this game, you're like, what is this? It looks like reused pixel art from some just bizarre acid trip. Like, they weren't even characters that were in the Turtle series. They were just kind of these weird flying eyeball things. I don't know. They were strange. And then you had the little area where you could walk around and try not to get run over by the foot soldiers driving what, steamrollers. Like, what is this? This isn't. I was very, I was even bothered by the fact that, if you could see here, they all had red headbands. I'm like, what is the deal? What is the deal? Yeah, Jay Harley's like the guy with the chainsaw. Exactly. Well, the deal is, some of you guys are going to know this for sure, but the original concept for the Turtles, they all had red bandanas, not just Raphael. So, even though this game is kind of bad, I had a lot of fun with it as a kid. If it hadn't been Ninja Turtles, I never would have played this thing. I guarantee it. But the fact that it was Ninja Turtles, I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm gonna see how far I can get. I was into the Turtles. Like, I had reprints of the first comics. I loved the movies. Like, when we finally got a VCR, I remember renting Turtles 2 and just hitting rewind the moment it finished and starting it back over again, So like, I was into it. Really, really enjoyed it. So that's it. That's our game vlog for today. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES from Ultra. Quick little history lesson. The reason this is from Ultra and not Konami is because Nintendo said you can't put out, I believe it was more than like 5 games a year under the same publisher. So Konami created Ultra so that they could put out more games on the NES, even though this is basically a Konami game. There you go. Kind of fun. Kind of a little fun fact there. I will be getting to Turtles 2 because that is the game. That was a game changer for me. There were 2 games on the NES that I would play to completion and start back over again. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 and DuckTales. Those were the 2 that I could just play over and over and over again. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.